I need advice. I'm Lucas, 17M, and my life has been a roller coaster since my mom passed away when I was 10. My dad, Tom, 45M, and I have been a team since then, figuring out how to navigate life without her. Mom was the glue that held our family together. She was a pediatric nurse, always full of energy and compassion. I remember how she used to volunteer at the local animal shelter on weekends, often dragging Dad and me along. Those were some of the best times of my life. We'd walk dogs, play with cats, and sometimes even foster animals until they found their forever homes. Mom always said that helping others was the best way to heal our own hearts. When she got sick, it happened so fast. One day she was fine, and the next, she was in the hospital. Cancer, they said. It was already at stage 4 when they caught it. We had 6 months with her before she passed. Those months were a blur of hospital visits, hushed conversations, and trying to make every moment count. After she died, Dad and I were lost. He threw himself into work, often staying late at the office. I retreated into video games and books, anything to escape reality. We were like two planets orbiting each other, connected but distant. It took time, but we slowly learned how to be a family of two. We started having weekly movie nights, just like we used to do with Mom. Dad even tried to learn how to cook, though his early attempts often ended with us ordering pizza. As the years passed, we settled into a comfortable routine. Dad focused on his career as an architect, and I dove into my studies and extracurricular activities. We weren't perfect, but we were doing okay. Then, about 2 years ago, Dad met Sarah, 42F, at a work conference. He came home different that day, more alive than I'd seen him in years. He couldn't stop talking about this amazing woman he'd met, how smart and funny she was, how she understood what it was like to be a single parent. She had a daughter, Emma, from a previous marriage. I was happy for Dad, but also apprehensive. We'd been just the two of us for so long that the idea of someone else entering our lives was unsettling. But I wanted Dad to be happy, so I encouraged him to pursue the relationship. Their romance was a whirlwind. Within 6 months, they were engaged. Sarah seemed nice enough when we first met. She was always smiling, asking me about school and my hobbies. She even suggested we all go volunteering at the animal shelter, just like old times. It felt like maybe, just maybe, we could be a happy family again. The wedding was small but beautiful. Dad looked happier than I'd seen him in years, and I felt a glimmer of hope that things were looking up for us. Sarah moved in with us, and at first, everything seemed fine. She redecorated the house, saying it needed a woman's touch. I didn't mind too much, even though it felt like she was erasing Mom's presence bit by bit. But things started to change after the honeymoon. Sarah became distant, often ignoring me when Dad wasn't around. She'd make comments about my clothes or my music, saying things like, "Don't you think it's time you dressed more maturely?" Or "That noise you call music is giving me a headache." I tried to brush it off, thinking maybe she just needed time to adjust to living with a teenager. The situation got worse when Sarah's daughter, Emma, 15F, came to live with us full time. Emma and I had met a few times before the wedding, and we never really clicked. She was into fashion and social media, while I preferred video games and reading. But I tried to be welcoming, remembering how hard it was when my mom died. Emma, however, didn't seem interested in getting along. She started spreading rumors about me at school, telling people I was weird and antisocial. She even told some people that I had a crush on her, which was absolutely not true. When I confronted her about it, she just laughed and said, "It's not my fault you're such a loser." At home, Sarah always took Emma's side in any argument. If I complained about Emma using my things without asking, Sarah would accuse me of being selfish. If I wanted to watch something on TV, Emma would suddenly need the living room for her social media work, and Sarah would back her up. Dad tried to mediate, but he often seemed torn between his new wife and his son. I could see the stress wearing on him. He started staying late at work more often, just like he had after Mom died. When he was home, he'd try to keep the peace, but it felt like he was walking on eggshells. I started spending more time in my room, trying to avoid confrontations. I threw myself into my studies and my online gaming friends, who became my escape. I missed the closeness Dad and I used to have, but I didn't know how to bridge the growing gap between us. Things came to a head last week. I was in the kitchen grabbing a snack when I overheard Sarah and Emma talking in the living room. They didn't realize I was home, and what I heard made my blood run cold. Sarah was laughing about how she had convinced Dad to put the house in her name just in case something happens. She then said, "Once Lucas is out of the picture, we'll have everything we need. Tom's business is really taking off, and with his connections, we'll be set for life." Emma giggled and replied, "And once I tell everyone at school that Lucas tried to kiss me, he'll be so humiliated he'll probably beg to be sent to boarding school." I was shocked and hurt. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Was this their plan all along? To isolate me from my dad and take everything we had? I tried to talk to Dad about it that night, but Sarah kept interrupting, changing the subject or finding reasons for Dad to help her with something. I could see the confusion and concern in Dad's eyes, but he didn't push the issue. Now I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm losing my family and my home. The house that used to be filled with love and laughter now feels like a battlefield. I don't want to hurt my dad or ruin his chance at happiness, but I can't keep living like this. I miss my mom more than ever. She would have known exactly what to do in this situation. I feel lost and alone, unsure of who to turn to or how to fix this mess. So, Reddit, what should I do? How can I protect myself and my dad without tearing our family apart? Any advice would be appreciated. Update 1. It's been a month since my last post, and a lot has happened. First, I want to thank everyone for their advice and support. Your words gave me the courage to take action and face this situation head on. After my last post, I decided to gather evidence of Sarah and Emma's behavior. I started recording their conversations when they thought I wasn't around, using an old phone I had lying around. I also kept a detailed log of all the incidents at home and school, writing down dates, times, and exactly what was said or done. It was hard to relive those moments as I wrote them down, but I knew I needed solid proof if I was going to confront my dad. At school, things got worse before they got better. Emma ramped up her rumor campaign, telling people that I had tried to kiss her and that I was obsessed with her. Some people believed her, and I started getting dirty looks in the hallways. My few close friends stuck by me, though, and even helped me document some of the things Emma and her friends were saying. At home, I tried to keep a low profile while gathering evidence. It was tough, especially when I had to listen to Sarah and Emma badmouthing me or planning how to manipulate my dad. There were moments when I wanted to confront them right then and there, but I held back, remembering the advice many of you gave about being strategic. About 2 weeks ago, I finally got the chance to talk to my dad alone. He had a rare Saturday off, and I suggested we go fishing, just the two of us, like we used to before Sarah came into the picture. He seemed surprised but agreed readily. As we sat in the boat, surrounded by the calm of the lake, I felt a knot in my stomach. I was about to change our lives forever, and part of me was terrified. But I knew I had to do it. I started by telling Dad how much I missed our time together, how I felt like we'd grown apart since he married Sarah. His face fell, and he admitted he'd noticed it too but hadn't known how to fix it. That gave me the courage to continue. I told him everything, the bullying at school, the conversations I'd overheard, how Sarah was trying to manipulate him and push me out of the picture. At first, Dad was in denial. He couldn't believe Sarah would do something like that. But when I showed him the recordings and my log, I saw the realization hit him. Dad was quiet for a long time, just staring out at the water. Then he started to cry. It was the first time I'd seen him cry since Mom's funeral. He kept apologizing, saying he should have noticed, should have protected me better. I told him it wasn't his fault, that Sarah had fooled both of us. We talked for hours that day, really talked, like we hadn't in years. Dad admitted that he'd noticed some red flags but had ignored them because he was afraid of being alone again. He told me how much he missed Mom, and how Sarah had seemed like a lifeline when he was drowning in grief and loneliness. I shared how I felt ignored and pushed aside after they got married, how I missed the bond we used to have. We both cried a lot that day, but it felt like a weight was lifting off both our shoulders. When we got home, Dad confronted Sarah. He asked Emma to go to her room, saying the adults needed to talk. Sarah must have sensed something was wrong because she immediately went on the defensive, asking what I'd been saying about her. Dad was calm but firm. He laid out everything we knew, including playing some of the recordings I'd made. It was intense. Sarah tried to deny everything at first, then started crying and playing the victim. She claimed I was just a troubled teen trying to ruin her marriage, that I was jealous of her relationship with Dad. But Dad stood his ground. He told her that if she and Emma couldn't treat me with respect, they would have to leave. He said he'd already contacted his lawyer and was prepared to file for divorce if necessary. Sarah's true colors came out then. She started screaming about how she'd wasted 2 years of her life on us and that she deserved compensation. She threatened to ruin Dad's reputation, to tell everyone he was an abusive husband. Dad calmly reminded her that the prenup she'd signed protected his assets, including the house, and that he had evidence of her trying to manipulate him. Sarah stormed out, saying she needed time to think. She came back the next day with Emma, both of them packing their things. Emma was crying, alternating between begging Dad to reconsider and glaring at me hatefully. The past 2 weeks have been a whirlwind. Dad filed for divorce and got a restraining order against Sarah after she tried to break into our house one night, screaming that we'd ruined her life. Emma's been spreading more rumors at school, but most people don't believe her anymore, especially after one of her friends came forward and admitted that Emma had asked her to lie about me. It's been tough, but Dad and I are closer than ever. We're working on rebuilding our relationship and healing from this experience. We've started having movie nights again, and Dad's even trying to learn to cook, again. It's not perfect, we both have a lot of healing to do, but for the first time in a long time, I feel hopeful about our future. I'm just glad I didn't stay silent and let Sarah tear our family apart. To anyone going through something similar, don't be afraid to speak up and seek help. Trust your instincts, gather evidence if you can, and remember that you deserve to feel safe and respected in your own home. Update 2. It's been 3 months since my last update, and things have finally started to settle into a new normal. The divorce proceedings are underway, and Dad's lawyer is confident that Sarah won't be able to get anything substantial due to the prenup and the evidence we gathered of her manipulative behavior. Emma transferred to a different school after her lies were exposed. It turns out that the situation was even more complicated than we thought. Some of Emma's friends came forward and admitted that Emma had asked them to back up her stories about me. But they also revealed that Emma had been struggling with her own issues. Apparently, Sarah had been putting a lot of pressure on Emma to be perfect, to help secure their position in our family. Emma had been acting out partly because of this pressure and partly because she was jealous of my relationship with Dad. I have mixed feelings about this revelation. While it doesn't excuse Emma's behavior, it does help me understand it a bit better. I hope she gets the help she needs to deal with her mom's influence. At my school, things have calmed down. Once the truth came out, most people apologized for believing Emma's lies. My close friends have been incredibly supportive, sticking by me through all of this. I've even started hanging out with a new group of people who share my interest in coding and game development. Dad and I have been focusing on rebuilding our relationship. We've had some tough conversations about trust, communication, and our fears. Dad admitted that he rushed into the relationship with Sarah because he was afraid of growing old alone, and because part of him felt guilty for being happy after Mom died. I shared how I felt ignored and pushed aside after they got married, and how I was afraid of losing him. These conversations haven't been easy, but they've helped us understand each other better. We've started new traditions, like weekly movie nights and cooking dinner together. Dad's even taken an interest in some of my hobbies, and we've been working on restoring an old car together. It reminds me of the projects we used to do with Mom, and while it's bittersweet, it also feels like we're honoring her memory. There have been some challenging moments too. Dad's been on a few dates recently, which brought up some mixed feelings for both of us. We talked about it, though, and agreed that we'd take things slow and make sure we're both comfortable with any new people in our lives. Dad promised that he wouldn't let anyone come between us again, and I believe him. I've been focusing on school and my friends. It's amazing how much easier everything feels without the constant stress at home. My grades have improved, and I've even joined the school's robotics club. We're working on a project for a regional competition, and it's been a great distraction from everything else. As for Sarah and Emma, we don't hear from them much anymore. Sarah tried to contest the prenup, but her lawyer advised against it given the evidence we had. Last we heard, they moved to another state to live with Sarah's sister. Part of me hopes they're getting help and learning from this experience, but mostly I'm just glad they're out of our lives. Overall, things are looking up. It's not perfect, we both still have moments of sadness or anger about what happened, but Dad and I are healing and moving forward together. We're planning a road trip for spring break, just the two of us, to visit some of Mom's favorite places. It feels like a way to reconnect with each other and with her memory. I'm grateful for the support and advice I received here. It gave me the strength to stand up for myself and my dad. To anyone else going through a similar situation, remember that you're not alone, and it's okay to ask for help. Update 3. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I wanted to share some final thoughts on this whole experience. The divorce was finalized last month. Sarah tried one last time to contest the prenup, but the judge ruled in Dad's favor. During the proceedings, we found out that Sarah had a history of similar behavior in her past relationships, which she had hidden from us. It was a relief to know that it wasn't just us, but it also made me sad for the other families she had hurt. Dad has been doing great. He's thrown himself into his work and hobbies, and he seems happier than he has in years. He's been on a few more dates, but he's taking things very slowly. He always makes sure to talk to me about it, which I appreciate. We've agreed that if things ever get serious with someone, we'll all sit down together and discuss how it might change our family dynamic. As for me, I'm looking forward to my senior year of high school. I've started thinking about colleges and what I want to do with my future. This whole experience has made me consider studying psychology or law, to help other families going through similar situations. I've also been volunteering at the local animal shelter, just like we used to do with Mom. It feels good to give back to the community and honor her memory. Emma reached out to me a few weeks ago with a long email. She apologized for her behavior and explained that Sarah had been manipulating her too, playing us against each other. She's in therapy now and says she's working on understanding why she acted the way she did. While I appreciate her apology, I'm not ready to forgive her completely. I told her I needed time and space, which she understood. Dad and I went on that road trip we planned, visiting some of Mom's favorite places. It was emotional but healing. We shared stories about Mom, laughed at old memories, and even cried together. It felt like we were finally able to properly grieve and celebrate her life without the shadow of Sarah hanging over us. At home, we've been slowly redecorating the house. We're not erasing Sarah's changes completely, but we're bringing back some of Mom's favorite things and adding new items that represent who we are now. It's a mix of old and new, just like our relationship. I've been spending more time with my friends, both old and new. The robotics club project is going well, and we're hopeful about our chances in the upcoming competition. I've also started teaching a coding class at the local community center for kids who can't afford expensive tech camps. It's challenging but rewarding, and it's helped boost my confidence. Looking back, I'm proud of myself for speaking up and not letting Sarah's manipulation continue. It was hard, and there were times when I doubted myself, but I know I did the right thing. Dad and I are stronger for it, and our relationship is better than ever. This experience has taught me a lot about trust, communication, and the importance of standing up for yourself. It's also shown me how resilient people can be. Dad and I have been through so much, but we've come out the other side stronger and closer than ever. To anyone going through something similar, don't be afraid to speak up and seek help. Trust your instincts, gather evidence if you can, and remember that you deserve to feel safe and respected in your own home. It might be scary, and things might get worse before they get better, but in the end, it's worth it to reclaim your life and your happiness. As for us, we're taking things one day at a time. We're not perfect, and we still have our rough patches, but we're facing them together. Mom always used to say that family is about love, not blood, and I think we're finally living up to that idea. Thank you all for your support throughout this journey. Your advice and encouragement made a real difference in our lives. While this chapter of our story is closing, I feel like we're just at the beginning of a new, better one. Whatever comes next, I know Dad and I can handle it together.